Hey, it's Alex, and I'm starting a new series. It's workshop series, so I'm in the workshop. Today, for the first one, I'm going to start with a hand plane blade. How to sharpen a blade. Here, the indicator that it's dull is that there's a shadow line on the very back here. Ultimately, what you want is what they call hollow grind. So right here, this section here will be hollow. And then on your whetstone or oil stone is when you do the final honing, when you put the final edge on here. So the first thing I'm going to do then is go to the grinding wheel here and just re-grind this so it's a really nice even hollow grind. Okay, I'll fire up the grinder and I'll show you the basic process of honing the blade. Okay, so you want to grind this here until you have a nice consistent hollow grind on the one edge here. Another thing to check then is take your machine square, lay it across the blade, and double check that you've ground it at a 90 degrees. Now, the whetstone or oil stone technique is probably the trickiest of all. Once you get a system down, it's not difficult at all. Take your oil stone, or you might have a whetstone, and I actually spend a bit more time on the back. So you want the back dead flat. Keep a rag handy, and then you can just wipe it off. So you can see here, when you get those reflections, trying to get the light on it here, there, when you get those reflections, these are high spots and low spots. So, see, it's high there, and hollow in the middle. So what I'd like to do is grind it so that it's the same or similar reflection all along this edge here. So there, I've ground it as much as I can for now on this particular blade. Flat across the back there. You can spend lots of time on the back here and not do any damage. So now the edge. So you have your hollow grind here, but it's not actually sharp yet. What we're going to do is lay this bevel right down on the stone and then elevate it about 5 degrees more. And all we're going to do is just polish this edge right here. So the technique is this. Have some oil on your stone. You can just go by feel, and you feel where that hollow ground sits flat right there. And I'm just going to raise it about 3 degrees or 5 degrees. And keep it even pressure. And I push and pull. Trying to do the figure 8 thing. When you hear that grinding sound, you know it's doing the job. And I go with bare fingers because you can feel it. Then, by doing that, you can't see it necessarily, but you can feel it. On this back edge, there's a burr. So the back edge of the blade is shaped like this. By my fingers curled back. I've created this burr. So I've rolled that bevel over this way. Now I'm going to take that burr off, and that's actually going to make it sharp. So to take the burr off, you lay that blade right dead flat on the stone. as flat as you can get it, and you push hard, and it's really only 1 or 2 swipes. Clean the oil off, and then you can run your finger back across, and if you don't feel a burr, you know it's sharp. And the test is, no, I could slice my finger if I wanted to, but what I do is I just use the fingernail trick. If you can shave fingernail off, then it's pretty sharp. Okay, so this is that little beveled edge that I'm talking about here. You can just start to see it. It's very, very fine. I'm going to polish it a little bit more and get a little more of an edge on there. Find that basic point where you ground it on the grinder and then raise it about 3 degrees. Make sure you have a bit of oil on there. Not too much, obviously, because then it just acts like a lube. Find that sweet spot, and then I press and hold, and I kind of lock my wrists, right? Kind of like a machine, just sort of back and forth. You can hear it grinding, and even with the oil on, you can feel that burr at the back edge there. And then I'll just take that burr off with a couple of swipes. And that little micro edge right there, that's the sharp edge right there. Concluding this sharpening of the plane blade video, putting the blade back in the plane, you have these grooves here, and they line up with this adjuster, so you can lay it right basically in here. Then your tensioner lays right on top, and I put a little bit of tension on this screw here. There is this self-tensioning lever on this particular one, but it's not very, it's not a positive. And that's essentially it. Okay, you've got your blade back in the plane here, and you've got a bit of tension on here, not too much. And then you have the tensioner or adjustment here. So, how to know how much blade you have. Basically what you want to do is you want to look straight down the bottom of the plane, and you want to just see a tiny little shadow line where the blade is protruding through the foot here. Okay, to check your blade depth or blade setting, you basically eyeball down the foot of the blade here, and you can just see this black shadow line. That in fact is the blade, and that's actually a fairly coarse cut there, which would be too coarse for most finishing. So what I'm going to do is just slowly unwind that setting knob, and you can see there's the edge of the blade, and you basically want it even across there. You don't want one portion sticking way up and the other portion not, otherwise it won't be square. So that is about what you want for, say, beveling, doing an edge. You basically have to experiment with your depth of cut there. So this concludes this video.